Welcome to Chaotically Nerdy, a podcast made by nerds for nerds. This podcast is made by adults, for adults, and for children with bad parents. Adult language will be used, and adult situations may arise. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Chaotically Nerdy. Go fuck yourself, Jarrett, laughing on the side. Laugh out loud.
Just
People can't see
at
it.
You trying to fucking figure out where to do it.
Yeah, I had no idea. I was like, where should I put it? Because this is one of the few times that I don't need it.
Don't need it. Yeah.
So, on today's episode with me are joining
Jarrett
and
Ethan,
who is hydrationless. So if you hear him,
dehydrated, someone say.
if you hear that noise, it's because he's thirsty and he's staring at my water.
I might take it, to be honest.
On today's episode, we're going to talk about some hot D.
Yeah, give me that hot D action.
God fucking damn it.
Look, they know what they was doing when they made these initials for the show.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. So I guess I need to say we're in season 3. Who would ever thought we'd have made it this far?
Yeah,
Not me.
I thought we'd make it.
I'm glad you did.
Look.
I'm shaking my head no.
6 seasons in a movie.
6 seasons in a movie.
Yeah,
We'll get there.
like Avatar.
Like Avatar.
Yeah.
Are you talking about like The Last Airbender or?
Yeah. Well, no, it was 7 seasons. Sorry.
Yeah, I guess technically.
Yeah.
Oh,
And we're
because
getting
Korra.
Yeah.
Now we're getting off track. So we're going to talk about the first season of Hot D. Jarrett made up the script because he's a much better person than me. I've been pretty lazy with the script making. So if the questions are shit, come at him.
Yeah, come at me, bros.
Don't. I said it, and I was like, I shouldn't have used that word.
Shouldn't have.
And
Come at me, bro.
literally. Not this month, though, because it's No Nut November.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I have failed.
I know this motherfucker has.
I didn't even make it 24 hours, probably. I don't keep like records or anything, but I'm just guesstimating.
Records.
Keeping a notebook, check marking every day.
yeah.
Like, yep.
Time.
Oh, no.
It's just a calendar, and he puts a mark if he does. You go in, and there's a couple days that have like 6 marks on it. You're like, what the fuck? I was bored. All right, so the first question we have about Hot D. Did it live up to the expectations set upon it by the general audience?
Mm-hmm. This is like, talking about like the negative perception, I would say, that season 8 of Game of Thrones had, and like the
Well, I think that's more of a mix between this question and the next question.
but like it is like there was definitely like a negative perception on Game of Thrones
Absolutely.
as a brand.
Well,
People thought this was they didn't have high hopes for this because of.
I think it lived up to expectations and surpassed.
Oh yeah, it definitely. I would say it's surpassed.
I think the expectations were a little higher than what it could have been if D&D were still involved.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I would say
I would have zero expectations. if they
I
were
expected
still
more considering D&D was not involved.
Yeah.
I still didn't expect that much because it was like, well, they've
Well,
ruined
you
a
don't
lot.
want to go in with too high expectations for anything anyway, because half the time you're going to be
Absolutely disappointed?
Recently, more than half the time you're going to be absolutely disappointed.
Yes. So, I mean, we can all agree. It definitely lived up or even beat some expectations. I would say most expectations.
Oh yeah, I would say most people I've seen have been very happy with it.
Yeah.
Especially considering the
Out of
previous.
all the like newer shows that are out right now, this is the one I think most people have generally received well.
Yeah.
I haven't
It's
heard
the
a lot
least
of complaints.
polarizing to begin with.
Yeah.
So it's obviously going to have a generally higher rating, I think.
Yeah.
Because, Rings of Power came out at the same time. It was, really polarizing. So obviously it's going to have a little bit lower ratings just because of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. It still got rated very well. What is it on IMDb?
It's 85 or something like that for the tomatoes. General audience score doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Review bombing's a thing, especially in this era.
It is. It was high. I want to say like
But
8 something.
I don't know what hot D is, but I bet it's higher than that. I bet it's higher than 85.
Which I only have IMDb. It's an 8.5 out of 10 on IMDb.
Hot D or
Hot D.
I
Yeah.
believe Rings of Power is like a 7 something.
it's still
7-1,
pretty high.
7-1.
Yeah, it's still
I can
pretty
look
high.
it up. I got it pulled up right there.
Maybe
It
lower.
is a 6.9. So right at 7.
Yeah, that's still fairly high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've watched shittier shows than that.
Yeah.
With the score lower than that. I've watched.
And that's the thing. You can't, like Ethan said, you can't always trust scores because some people.
Well, it's the
And-
general audience score that you have to worry about. Anywhere that has that, take that with a grain of salt. It's the actual legitimate reviewers you have to, not like critics. Critics don't matter either.
It's people that are actually going into it to try and give a review.
People who have upvoted viewer reviews.
Yeah.
You can trust them generally speaking, I would say. But still be careful and generally just go watch it and judge it for yourself.
That's the thing. You should always go watch it and judge it for yourself because while some person and we'll talk about this, I think we all generally have the same agreements that we all like House of the Dragon.
Oh, yeah.
Rings of Power will be kind of where we differ, I think.
Probably
And
a
we're
little
gonna-
bit.
And we're going to talk about that next episode. And so we'll kind of talk about how it's different for everybody because we all enjoy Game of Thrones. We all enjoy House of the Dragon. So we're all going to have similar opinions, at least, on this. So the next question up is, did it rebuild some of the confidence in Game of Thrones as a universe? That season 8 basically demolished.
7 and 8.
Yeah,
But like
8 more
7
so.
or 8 was like
8 was the
stopping
big.
it.
Yeah.
Like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
8 was the big go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
7 was the we're really
Well,
looking
they
back.
set it on. Well, they set the whole series on fire to burn it down in season 7, and they just pissed on the fire on season 8. That's what it was.
Absolutely.
But yes, I think that this really built some confidence back into the Game of Thrones world in general.
Made me excited about Game of Thrones again for the first time in years.
I'm actually excited about the prospects of the Snow show.
me too. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Like,
I wasn't before.
I'm like-
Hot D, but now I am.
yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
we'll get into that later, but yeah.
So now we're going to talk about some of these standout performers, and there's a shit ton of them because a lot of them.
That was just more like a list for us.
I know,
Yeah.
but you
Yeah.
can't look at that list and tell me they're not all good.
Oh yeah, they're all good.
I mean,
Which several of them are playing the same person.
yes,
And that's really interesting for this show. It's really different from a lot of other shows because they're playing them through, if you haven't watched it, they're playing them through different timelines. So they do little time skips here and there between episodes. It's not as jarring as it sounds.
it's not little time skips either. It's years.
Yeah, it's years. I thought it was going to be a
There's
lot
like-
more.
One big time skip. The rest of them's like year.
I thought it was going to be a lot more disruptive than it was, but it didn't turn out to be.
No,
We should talk about
but
the actors,
I will
though.
say that. Well, we'll talk about time jumps in a minute.
Yeah.
So Emma Darcy, like I'm just looking at the list because we've got both of young and old Rhaenyra. Emma Darcy did much better than I expected. I don't know what I expected. I feel like Millie was just kind of there. Like she did really good, but I wasn't as impressed with hers versus Emma's.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
They felt really different.
They did.
They did feel a lot more different than
One
say,
feels like an adult and one feels like a kid.
Well, see,
I mean, they're
Like,
supposed to.
I
but-
mean, that's what they succeeded what they were going for. Like young Rhaenyra feels like she's an impetuous brat
yeah,
yeah.
that, I feel like a lot of the Greens can latch onto her negative qualities when she was younger.
she felt a lot more dangerous and severe as an adult.
Yeah,
than
like
with
serious,
Emma
like-
Darcy playing her.
Yeah.
But I guess that makes sense because she was older. But I mean,
Yeah, and was married to Damon, and that probably changed her perspective a little bit.
yeah, yeah.
So obviously, Matt Smith and Patty Constantine as the two Targaryens. are
Give Patty his fucking Emmy,
absolutely give him every award.
but I want the Emmy.
I don't give a fuck what just every single one. He deserves it.
Well, I mean, Matt Smith did a great job.
Oh my god,
Matt
I
did.
mean,
he made millions of people sent for a character that's completely unlikable most
Yeah,
of the time.
and
Yeah.
people are so like,
he's a total just asshat.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
if you write down the stuff he does, No, he's not a good person.
You could write
No,
that
Watch the
down.
show, you're like, yeah,
Well, it's
that guy.
it's Matt Smith's charisma because, like, I don't know if you ever watched anything else with him in it.
Yeah,
Really?
Morbius.
I was gonna say something maybe worse than Morbius. Terminator Genesis, I think is that one, the fourth one.
What is he most known for?
Doctor Who.
Okay,
I've never watched Doctor Who.
Okay,
Outside of like a clip here and there.
Yeah.
he's really good, and I don't really enjoy Doctor Who as much as I should, but he's really good in it, and I think generally speaking, he's really good. And then Patty just outshines him, and
Absolutely.
somehow outshines Matt Smith.
Yes.
And he's just
I
fantastic.
had a feeling the first episode when he gives him the speech, when he kicks him out for the first time. They don't have a very healthy relationship, these two. But I was like,
Targaryens.
we're gonna see something really, really, really impressive with this because I could just tell him like he has like a gravitas in his
Oh yeah.
when he's making these speeches. I'm like, if they fucking give him the right scripts, like he can.
I mean, what else is he known for? What else has he been in, Patty?
Hot Fuzz.
But yeah,
That's the only thing I know him
it's
from.
the only thing I know. He's just like out of left field. This kind of like tier 3 actor is like
Even in
is
England.
just- yeah,
Even in England.
he just comes through as just a fantastic character. He does so well.
There was something else he was in that I know I've seen him in.
Probably had. But I just that's
Peaky
what
Blinders.
Oh,
I haven't watched
yeah.
Peaky Blinders up to that point.
I forgot about that.
I knew I'd seen him somewhere. I just couldn't figure
He
it
looks
out.
well by the time Hot D ends. He looks so different.
Yeah,
He looks so different.
that's true. So next up is Olivia Cook as old adult Allison Hightower.
I
who-
think they match better.
I think they do too. And there is something to be said about when you hate a character because an actor or actress has done such a good job.
I don't hate her. I just feel sorry for her.
I did for a little bit. Like I'll go in and out of hate and feeling sorry for her. There's times where I'm like, she got put into this situation. And then there's times where it's like,
She didn't originally want to be in the position she's in. She was really pushed into it by her father.
Yeah.
And
but to ignore the changes that happen within her as a person, whether you get put into a situation or not.
she really picked it up, though. She picked up that baton pretty quickly.
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't know. I think both actresses were pretty good. I think, unfortunately, Emily Carey was a little bit forgettable.
Yes.
And
I
that
will-
may be because just Olivia Cook was so similar to,
In looks.
unlike
I mean, they
Rhaenyra.
freaking look alike.
Yeah, unlike Rhaenyra, and between the two actors for Rhaenyra, like they were similar, but not really that close. Not nearly as close as Allison.
No. I mean, but either way, they both did a really good job.
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
Olivia Cook just stands out more in that as Allison Hightower.
Well, she was a little bit more emotional. She emoted a bit better with her eyes and her face.
It's a real shame she had to get her feet out.
Yeah, I thought that was really funny.
Oh, it was really funny.
It was funny. It just,
I laughed out loud. I was like, oh my God, are we watching this?
yep. I'm going to butcher his name, but Reese.
Oh, Iphans? I don't know. I
However,
never,
he plays Otto Hightower.
yeah.
That's his name now.
I would have never. Okay, so what I know him from is from two things. He's the brother of Little Nicky,
Yes.
and
Yep.
he's the kicker in The Replacements.
Yeah.
Those are like two
He's
movies
still-
I watched all
So
the time
this
as
is
a
a
kid.
totally different
Oh
role
my
for
God.
him. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I've seen him like in like as Xenophilius, Love Good, and the last two Harry Potter movies. He's fine in those. Like he's all right, but like there's not a lot of chew on those. But I'm like, oh my God.
He was good in those. This, as with most people in this show, it really showed that they do have depth as actors.
Yeah.
The
Yes.
range that they have. You're
Yeah.
like, holy shit.
Because Reese did just a great job with this. He felt so
Unlikable.
well. He was not totally unlikable though, because
There was moments.
There was moments, definitely moments. He's one of the more unlikable people.
Absolutely. But there was moments where you like him
But-
coming from a, like, playing the game of Thrones.
Yeah, but I
type.
He felt like this show's version of Tywin Lannister.
Yeah.
he's supposed to.
I can
yeah.
agree with that.
Yeah. Which Tywin wasn't totally unlikable either. But he was definitely not one of the more
cunt.
Yeah, definitely.
Hit him with the hard T.
Yeah.
Hard T.
So next up is Ewan Mitchell as adult Aemon Targaryen.
So I know him from one show, which is The Last Kingdom, where he plays a monk.
I was about
Is he
to say
a one-eyed monk?
No, he just plays a monk, and he's like a Christian monk. So he's like very...
Oh, okay.
completely different character. I was like...
He has his mouth wide open.
Oh my God. This guy became a completely different person to me. He's so
I don't know.
cunty.
Yeah, it's really bad.
It's bad that we're going to use like cunt to describe. And it's kind of
Well,
funny because
it's
you
just-
can kind of see what side
It's
we're
just
all on.
A quote from the hymn. There's lots of cunts.
That's true.
But he's like, he does it. He tries to do his best Damon impersonation.
Every
goddamn.
He does a good job.
Aemon is the first Damon simp.
Yeah,
He's like Daemon without the charisma.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's so funny to see all the instances where Aemon sees Daemon, and you can tell like Ewan does such a good job of. I don't want to say lusting because it's not a sexual thing, but
He has like a respect.
he has. Yeah, it's a weird look that he has on
It's
his
like
face. That
Daemon's his hero.
exactly.
Yeah.
His role model.
Yeah. Well, you could have picked a better one, but
Yeah, definitely could have.
I don't know. I
don't know. He didn't have a lot to look up to. Viserys didn't make a lot of good choices, but
was
at least
dying
he wasn't
his
a
entire
cunt.
life.
Yeah.
Viserys
true.
wasn't a cunt.
And then you put Tom Glencarney as adult Aegon Targaryen. I don't know that I agree with that.
I
don't think he had to stand out. Like, he's very forgettable to me.
Well, I think we're going to mention him because he's going to be in it quite
he's
a bit.
going
Yes.
to. I see the things. I'm like, ooh, I can see how he could be really,
Yeah.
really good.
I can sympathize with him a little bit now. I don't know about later on because he's going to probably do some terrible things, but I can sympathize with him now because he didn't want it. It wasn't going to be his.
It wasn't
didn't-
supposed to be his.
He didn't grow up being taught that it was going to be his throne. Yeah.
Well,
And then it's that.
well,
And then Allison's trying to push it, right?
I mean, he did.
I feel like
no,
a lot
Otto,
of people were like, "No, you're for real. You're going to be the king, though."
Otto definitely
Yeah.
was sitting there going, "You're going to be king,
Yeah.
Yeah.
whether
That's
you
fair.
fucking want it or not. You're going to be king."
want it.
It's always the people that don't want it.
But then, like,
No, I don't think that that's true.
I don't know. I think he did a good job.
Yeah.
I'm
I
looking
specific-
forward to seeing more from
I
the
specifically
character.
think of the scene where he gets his first like grand applause at his coronation. And he has like a different look on his face of
does.
like,
Oh,
I get it.
Yeah.
I'm the life of the party.
Yes.
Whenever he sees everybody cheering him
Mm-hmm.
and everything like that, there is a light switch that changed of like, this is great. I
I'm
want
just
this.
waiting for the scene where he just masturbates in front of them. It's like I'm not going to do it from my window anymore. Yeah, just on stage right here. Watch me.
Kids falling out of that window all the time.
God. All right. So next up is Fabian Frankel.
Oh my god.
As
Captain Incel.
Sir Chris. Yes, very much so. I
God.
slept with Rhaenyra once, and I'm never gonna forget it. And it's everybody else's problem now.
Well, originally he's so likable.
Oh, you're like,
Yeah.
you're like,
Like,
oh,
he's going to be a good guy. He's going to be a good guy. No.
yeah.
No.
I do have a problem with his
probably
character,
one of
though.
What?
I do have a problem with his character, though. All these time skips, motherfucker doesn't age
Yeah, it's
a
true.
day. There's not a hair change.
No,
He
there
looks-
is. He has like a
That's
a
not-
longer. He does. They cut his hair.
Do
That's
they?
not
Yeah.
unreasonable.
Okay.
Look at
But it's not very much.
Look at Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
That's
Fair
not
enough.
unreasonable.
But look at fucking Patty versus
He's
Kristen
different.
Cole.
He's dying.
he's literally like,
decaying on the throne.
I don't know if he has leprosy or what. It's just some sort of necrosis.
Yeah.
So obviously he's going to look a little bit different.
I actually seen a theory about that, and that it was, obviously the throne was damaging him, but it was some type of leprosy, I believe.
Yeah.
And the reason he contracted it was because, Targaryens have their dragon link, basically. Balerion died. And so he lost that link, which gave him magical immunities, I guess.
Because dragons are magical.
Yes.
Okay.
It's also complete bullshit because there's literally like 6 or 7 Targaryens that throughout history that just die from disease.
Hey, I don't read.
Good theory. I don't think it holds up. Like,
I can't read, so I mean, I haven't read that. Yeah. I'm just going off of the TikTok I seen
Oh,
because if
fucking
it's
get it.
verbal,
No.
I can. I can fuck
Any
with it.
TikTok theory needs to be thrown in immediately.
You just said you liked it.
Christian Cole though.
Yeah. Fuck him.
Yeah.
I hate him with passion.
He really is good at making you hate him. I'm not sure if that's the character or the actor.
No, the actor's like
I think it's the actor.
super like sweet and charming. Like any
Yeah.
interview I've ever seen.
Have
with
you
him.
met him?
Any interview I've ever seen with him, he just is like seems like the nicest guy.
And him and Matt Smith.
At first, but then he's one of those. He's not just a nice guy. He's one of those nice guys.
Yeah, you got me.
Yeah,
The first incel.
I doubt he's the first.
Probably.
Of the realm? I don't know. Probably
Maybe.
not.
Steve, I'm going to butcher this last name.
Toussaint.
There you go. As Corliss.
I only know that because there's a baseball player with the same last name as that.
Ah, gotcha. He plays Corliss
Nerd.
Valerion. Is he the sea snake? He's the sea
He's the
snake.
snee snake.
The snee snake. I loved him as this character. He done such a good job. I hate some of his decisions that he personally makes.
I can understand all his decisions though. In a world as a second son, he's a second son. Where's his older brother? Because Vamon's not his older brother, so his older brother must be dead. I don't know.
Probably.
Vamon's not anybody's brother now.
That's true. He's a Canadian
He's
now.
still the brother. He's a Canadian.
That's the first meme I seen after that episode was he's a fucking Canadian now.
Yeah.
Hey.
That's
All right.
I mean, fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, he done a very good job.
He felt kind of flat to me, but I think that might have been on purpose.
I think it was.
I think that was on purpose. But
He's very to the point.
he was interesting while still being like a flat character.
Yeah.
He was just very dry
And I think
on purpose.
the next person we're going to talk about, Eve Best, as Renice, kind of complimented that.
Yeah.
She's
in a
like
way.
so like lively.
Yes,
usually.
and she's flat, and it's
especially
kind of
especially when she meets
It's her facial expressions.
Viserys. Anytime she like greets him, cousin.
yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
Well, I've seen her in a lot of different TV shows because I've watched a lot of British TV stuff, and I've seen a lot of her and stuff. I think that was her. It could have been somebody else, but anyway, she looked familiar. I haven't looked it up, but
But yes, I think those two, Renice and Corliss, complement each other very well in the show. So whenever he is flat, she's more animated type ordeal.
oh, especially at the end. Oh my goodness,
Yes.
that was good.
I'm mad at her. I'm mad at Renice. I'm not mad at Eve Best.
Why are you mad at Renice?
Because she could have fixed so many problems.
As she explained though,
I-
not her war to start.
But guess what? If she
know.
did that, there's no fucking war.
Fair.
All of the people that would have started the war were there.
She's going through a lot. She lost a lot,
Fuck, she
and it
could've-
wasn't even any of her choices that caused the losses.
I know.
All of those
Were
Corliss's.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's true.
So she's
She was
going through a
against
lot.
it.
Yeah.
She was against fighting.
Well, it was
for
Corliss.
She was
Rhaenyra
against
too, right?
either-
Corliss and Rhaenyra.
I guess yeah.
caused all
We
the
don't
problems.
Yeah, we don't know exactly how she felt about Daemon and Lena getting married, but
Yeah, 'cause
she
it's
was
never
very
really
much
mentioned.
against Laenor and Rhaenyra getting married because she's like that puts him closer to the throne,
Yeah.
which is dangerous.
Wait,
Yeah.
that's exactly what
Yeah.
Corliss wanted, though, was
He-
closer to the
He's a
throne.
man of ambition.
Yep. They usually don't last long. I'm surprised he's still alive.
Yep.
All right, so that's all the actors.
Mm-hmm.
There's others that did a great job. The Baratheon guy, fucking loved him. I don't know his actual name, but
That's the actor now.
Like one of my
That's
favorite
character
scenes from the show, the Bracken and the
Oh, the Blackwood.
Blackwood.
Yeah.
yeah, that was one of my favorite things. It was nice little lore bit.
Lord.
In the lore, they all hate each other. Brackens and Blackwoods, they have been fighting for thousands of years.
Gotcha.
Well, 8,000 years.
I
Something
think
like
it's
that.
like 2,000.
I looked it up earlier
That was
today.
1,000?
Yeah.
They don't like it. So every time they fight, it's like a big fucking hoop-de-doo.
Solid.
Actually, it depends on which one you ask, whether it was during the Age of Heroes or whether if it was like in during the time of the Andals.
Mm.
Yeah. But either way, they hated each other for a
So
long
they
time.
can't even agree on when the feud started.
Yeah, but It's so
that
funny.
sounds so much like everything in Game of Thrones.
But they both fit like the bill for like what the Blackwoods and the Brackens are supposed to be, because like one's supposed to be like all mouth and the other one's supposed to be all action. Yeah.
Understandable. So next up, we're going to jump back into talking about the actual show, not just the characters. Do the time jumps really matter? No, not at all.
I thought they would affect it more than I thought, but than I really originally thought. But then it came out as to be, but it turned out to be just fine.
They say people's names so often that it is easy to
Follow.
Yeah, it's easy to follow. You overlook the fact that it's a completely different actor most of the time because they literally say, "Hey Rhaenyra, hey Rhaenyra, hey Rhaenyra," until you know that is Rhaenyra or Alicent or which.
The names are very distinct from one another too.
I don't
except
know if I
for
go that far.
Rhaenyra and Rhaenyra
and Rhaenys and
Rhaenys.
Yeah, those are the ones that bother me. But
there's 17 Aegons.
But Daemon,
Aegon,
Viserys,
Daemon,
Aegon, you know,
Visenya.
Listen,
Look.
we can talk about Targaryens and their stupid fucking names.
It's
all
not
goddamn
even
day.
Targaryen's fault. This happened in real life.
I know.
Do you know how many king fucking
Yes.
Georges there have been?
John.
Yeah, there's too damn many.
Richard. Even Richard's not that many. It's like 3
Yeah.
or something.
The other thing is, well, I guess the kings are, but
Well, nobody wants to be called
Or Charles.
King Dick.
How many
So-
Charleses have there been?
my brain went
A lot.
straight to popes for some reason,
Popes
and
is
I
the
was
same
like,
thing.
the popes
Popes are
aren't
the same
related.
way.
Because you take
I
a,
know,
cause
but
you,
they're
take a, you take a name when you become a pope.
Yes,
They're not related, but they,
that's
It's very
because
similar.
my brain was like, at least
nomenclature.
they're not related. But then I'm like, yeah, they are related.
but no. Most time
Yeah.
on shows like time jumps are really jarring.
And they're hard to keep up with.
Yeah.
It's why I was
No, they
like,
do a
I've
good
heard,
job.
you know, when I watched a video with George, and he was doing for Random Penguin House, his the publisher that publishes his books, and the interviewer was asking about like how originally they wanted to approach this, and he was like, there was an idea to do like flashbacks throughout the entire season. And I think that gets, when you start doing flashbacks through an entire season, that's
That
when it
makes
gets
it hard.
messy.
Yes.
Yeah. This is linear.
It's very linear. It just
Absolutely.
Go, like we've seen this with like The Witcher. The Witcher, that first season of The Witcher is really confusing
Yes.
because it just jumps around.
I think it fits for the story they were doing for The Witcher,
But it's confusing.
It's hard to follow.
it's very hard to follow.
So
This
for
was so much easier to
if
follow.
you just literally keep going.
Yep. Just to talk about The Witcher, if you watch The Witcher twice, it makes so much more sense.
Yeah, you
The
can see
second
it.
time I watched it, I'm like, okay, I understand this now. The first time, I was so confused.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to watch a show twice to understand the timeline of the
Absolutely.
show.
I don't know. Maybe I'm smarter than you guys, but I
No, I
kept
can
up,
understand.
I kept up just
I
fine.
can understanding, but I can see where people would be like, all right, I don't know what the fuck, where are we? When are we? What's
It
going
was the
on?
where are we, when are we?
Oh,
Because
okay.
things would happen, and then they would talk about, like, it would be 3 episodes later that you would see it happen. Like, they
Yeah.
would talk about something, and then 3 episodes later, you would actually see that fight happen or something to that line.
Well, maybe they were just doing that so they didn't have to film as much.
Possibly.
But it's just, this is a much simpler way that
Yes.
I like.
It is.
Now we're pretty much done with the actor changing and the time skips.
It was an intro to the
Yeah,
series.
I would assume there might be one more actor change for the 2 little boys because
Probably.
Yeah, because they'll have to age up.
they need to be a smidge older.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it.
It's like the opposite problem from Game of Thrones. They were all older than what they should have been.
Yeah, I said we also should say like that they in the books when the show starts, Rhaenyra's 9, Alicent's 19.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, so they're not friends in the book.
Okay.
So what they did, they just kind of averaged out, met in the middle.
Well,
Made 'em
that
like
may be
14.
better because them
I think
being
it made
friends,
them-
it makes it a lot more compelling.
Yeah, it's a much
Absolutely.
more tragic story
Oh,
now.
yeah.
You're like, oh,
Well, and I read somewhere that they kind of tried to do that because they are trying to make Alicent
more
and the
likable.
green. Yeah, and the green's a more likable
yeah. In
character.
the book-
not just
Well, in the book, they're not likable at
No,
all.
they are just like these unrepentant like villains. You're just
Right.
like,
Yeah.
fuck these people.
Well, and we can talk about that.
Yeah.
Do we talk about that? Yeah, changes from the books. All right, we'll talk about that in a minute. So, what does it mean to Game of Thrones universe as a whole,
Hope.
or going forward? Yes,
Inspires a lot of hope. Like I'm excited for these other shows that we're going to talk about in a second that might get made. I don't know. Like there's so many stories in the Game of Thrones universe. It's much like Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many things. We don't have to just focus on the Targaryens, but we're going to end up focusing on the Targaryens a lot.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Star Wars. It's like, let's get away from the bad stuff with the bad directors.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And then go
Let's
on
make good
and
things
try
with good
something
people.
new.
Yeah.
Try something new.
Yeah, you can have like all sorts of like insane stories in Game of Thrones. I am firmly excited.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to get too excited. That's my thing. Because every time I get even semi-excited about a show, I get disappointed. And so I'm over here flaccid as could be because I'm like, I refuse. Eyes are closed. I don't want to see anything. I've went into that with movies and shows and everything here recently, and I've enjoyed more.
Yeah,
not
sure. If
knowing
you don't
as
have,
much.
if you have low expectations,
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's so many sequels that have come out in this past year that were subpar of different shows and different movies, like Thor, like Doctor Strange. You know, that just they didn't add up to what they could have been or to the expectations that the previous movie gave.
Yeah.
And this is a better going forward look. Yeah, I guess a little bit of reservation on the hope might be a good idea because you never know what Snow's
It's
going
just
to turn out to
me.
be.
I mean, think about how hopeful we were for season 7 and 8 of Game of Thrones. You're always hopeful that you'll have big moments, but
it was a little bit of a fuzzy area, though, to begin with for 7 and 8. But then they didn't do a good job.
we were always wondering how they were going to finish the story, and then they just said,
we're going to shit on it.
good question.
Flush the toilet.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about these shows,
Yeah.
which we've already talked about, that you're excited, you're hopeful. I'm trying to stay out of it, essentially.
But you can't tell me these don't sound interesting.
The Snow one does, because
And we know
I love Kit Harington.
Literally nothing about this show.
I love Kit Harington.
Except that it's
So-
post Game of Thrones.
I'm assuming I have no idea what the show's gonna be about, but I'm assuming it's gonna be more about him completing more of the Azor Ahai prophecy.
It would only make sense. They kind of need
Yeah.
to bring back the prince that was promised. Stuff
I'm excited to see some of the old characters return.
I don't know how many we're going to see actually.
Yeah, we don't. I know that
That's what I'm saying. This is supposed to start filming like
Yep.
within the next couple of months.
the only ones I know that are confirmed for it for sure are Kit Harington, and then Grey Worm confirmed that he's not going to be on it,
Yeah.
which is fine for me because the character was bland to begin with.
Yeah.
No one gives a shit about Grey Worm.
Yeah, he's an elfin Nath, so whatever.
Yeah. So also, I'm assuming these last 3 are just, or last 4, sorry, are just potential ones that
These
have
are
been
ones
talked
that
about.
are in the works.
Okay. they're
Now,
in the
whether they're
works.
going to get greenlit all the way, they same thing. Like we were supposed to have the original first spinoff show was supposed to be I don't know what they actually we're going to call it, but it's supposed to be about the Long Night,
Gotcha.
about the original Long Night with the White Walkers and stuff, and it had Naomi Watts attached to it as the lead. That got shot down because it was probably too close off the end of season 8 where everybody was like, who gives a fuck about the White Walkers?
Yeah, who gives a fuck about Game of Thrones, basically.
Yeah, no one gives a shit, right? So, but they shot that down and then greenlit the Snow one.
Gotcha.
But the sea snake is coreless.
yeah.
Is that like prior to Hot D?
Good question.
Probably.
I would assume so because it's supposed to be about his 9 voyages, which I'm
Okay.
assuming is all the stuff maybe.
Leading up to
Yeah.
possibly meeting
makes sense.
Rhaenyra,
Rhaenys.
Rhaenys.
whatever it is.
See? Oh, yeah. They're very distinctive.
It's called sarcasm.
I'd look forward to that. I mean,
I'm assuming it'll also won't be actually Steve Toussaint. It'll be like another actor.
Like
Maybe
a
he'll be
younger
like
version.
narrating.
yeah.
Probably. I don't know.
And then there's also a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms.
This is the one I'm most excited.
Duncan Egg.
I love Duncan Egg.
I got no idea what that is.
Okay,
but
Egg this would be Danny's great grandfather or grandfather. I think it's his grandfather, right? Because it's
Aegon.
no, it's great because it goes Aegon, Jaehaerys, Viserys,
Yeah,
Danny.
great grandfather.
Okay.
So but he's like essentially he's called Aegon the Unlikely because he's the fourth son of a fourth son.
Gotcha.
So, and this story is about him traveling with the hedge knight, Sir Duncan the Tall.
Gotcha. Okay.
And they just get up into like some crazy shit.
This is Maester Aemon's brother that he keeps mentioning. Egg.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Maester Aemon's brother. Yep.
Okay. Sounds good. 10,000 ships, which would be a pre-Doom of Valeria show about the orange people.
I'm excited.
I'm all for that.
I would be interested in that.
I have been wanting to see something pre-Doom.
Yeah.
I want to see Valeria in the whole form, because that was always interesting.
That's going to be a real tall task to do. It's
I know.
going to be like
It's fucking huge.
so much CGI.
Yeah.
Because you think there's a lot of
They
dragons.
did it in Rings of Power.
Sure. You think there's a lot of dragons in Hot D? There's like thousands of dragons. Like dragons are like cars.
Oh, yeah.
It's insane.
And then the Golden Empire.
This is like an animated show. It's for the Golden Empire of E.T., which is like George's.
Have you heard what type of animation it's going to be?
No, I'm
it gonna be
assuming
like
2D, but I don't know.
I mean, is it going to be like what's it called? Things.
Stranger Things?
No, Vox Machina.
Oh, I don't know. No one. This is just in the works.
Oh,
Say,
okay.
like, motion capture.
Yeah.
But
That'd be
like,
cool.
it's gonna be. It's supposed to be about that. I have no idea, but I'm like interested because it's something we've never seen.
Yeah.
He's not even really wrote that much about it, except for like a little bit in World of Ice and Fire.
Okay.
So it's supposed to be like his Chinese. I won't say knockoff. That sounds equivalent in the world.
Gotcha. So now let's go into changes from the books and kind of the consequences that came from them. I know you talked about Alicent and Rhaenyra being the same age and
that
friend.
fucks with the timeline a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of just makes everything like squished in a way. Like originally, the big time jump between 5 and 6 was supposed to be 10 years. They got cut down to like 6.
Okay. Gotcha.
Because
I don't feel like it's a bad thing. I mean, if we look back at Lord of the Rings, the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings, there were time squishes, things like that totally were necessary to making it into a film.
yeah, because like in the book,
Yeah.
you're like, this doesn't make any
It's like
goddamn sense.
it's like 14 to 25 years.
How long is Gandalf gone? It's a long time, right?
It's like 25 to 30
Yeah,
years.
he's gone
Yeah.
for a long time after he tells Frodo about the ring, goes and researches it or whatever. No,
he
when comes
researches
back.
it for years, like
Yeah.
decades. And
In the book, you can get away with it. In the show, it's like, or in the movie, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
yeah, it would be really weird, but you know, it's not a bad deal.
No, it didn't matter.
One of the only changes that I don't like, and this is coming just from me, and we've already talked about it, is the fact that they tried to make the Greens more likable.
Yeah, but if this show was just about how shitty the Greens are,
Yeah, but I understand. Like, that's fine with me.
but like it's
I don't need both sides.
it's less interesting
I don't think it would be. I don't need a.
because this show's all about the gray. It's not. There's no good
Well,
character in this.
I
You have to
know.
think
They're all
about
gray.
like actual evil people.
Yeah.
So the Greens are obviously the villains because they usurp the throne.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have to think about real people, like when you go into like writing and stuff. Real people who are evil do not believe that they are evil.
Yeah.
Yeah, they believe they're doing the right thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
they have
it's
to
the
have-
common Disney theme. You
It
telling
is
me
now.
You're
It
no,
is
no.
now.
You're telling me Gaston thinking he's going to save Belle from a beast?
For his own gain. He is a terrible person and he knows it.
Yeah.
No, old Disney was like that. Ursula is a terrible person and she knows it.
Listen, Ursula's a bitch.
Scar is a terrible person and he knows it.
He
Old
got
Disney
named
does that
trash.
all the time. Maleficent in the original knows that she's evil.
I'm sorry. I'm on Team Scar. If I got named Trash as a child, I would
Fair.
be a little fucking feisty.
But I mean, that's old Disney. Now, I'm not saying new Disney is really any better or worse, but personally, I do feel like having something that's a little more gray for your evil than Palpatine.
It's more
Palpatine,
interesting.
I like it fine, but it's still not. It's not as relatable.
Yeah.
Which is necessary because I mean the point that they're trying to sell is that everybody has a little bit of good and everybody has a little bit of evil in them, which is totally true.
So, like, if you go, if
And I
you
get
ask-
that,
if
but
you
I
ask
just-
book readers, there are no Team Green fans that I
Yeah.
know of. Everybody is Team Black. They're like, yeah, these guys are shitty. They're evil.
Well, and then this show didn't even make the blacks look that good.
No.
No, picking what team you're on, not easy.
You gotta be careful.
Not easy.
I don't think it's that hard, but
Well,
I think that's because I've seen enough of.
that's because of Damon, who is a terrible person.
He is a terrible
awful
person.
person.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Great character.
Oh yeah.
But for me, it's seeing the parts of the book that I have seen that have shown how evil they are that I wish would have been added. Like,
Oh, don't worry.
Alicent not letting anybody see Viserys' dead body for weeks.
Yeah, we kind of got that. 'Cause, again, it's more of a time thing. I think that they were like, how are they going to show weeks going by in a show? It's more like we can hold it for a couple of days.
Yeah. I mean, I get that.
It's kind of like a time, like more of a time thing. Like, you know.
Also, it would have been really gross.
Yeah.
Yeah, but fuck weaves. What about the pot pie situation?
Well, it's like, see, in Game of Thrones, in the books, whenever Tywin Lannister dies, he sits in the sept for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
yeah.
He's rotting by the time they move him. They're talking about how bad he smells. In the show, like, he doesn't look any different.
No.
Yeah.
Because it's just kind of like one of the things you kind of like.
I
It's
get
hard to show. You have to kind of like let that go.
Right.
I get it. It just,
Don't worry. There's plenty of evil moments on both sides that are going to come up.
I know. And I'm here for it. Are there any other changes that we can think of?
They've cleared up a lot of ambiguity that exists in the book because it's
Oh.
written from not first person.
That's what I wanted to
like,
bring up.
they definitively answer the question: who killed Ray Royce? Who burned Harrenhal? And they added some, I guess, uncertainty to like, did Aemond mean to kill Luke?
Which a lot of people were mad about.
I think it relates, that third point always relates back to Viserys' speech when he talks to Rhaenyra. Like, these are not, we cannot control dragons. It's
absolutely.
a fallacy. They are nukes, essentially.
Absolutely.
Like, you don't control the shit. It controls you.
People are mad about that because of the actors' kind of look of regret.
Almost. He was like, I didn't mean to kill him. Oh, this is bad.
It's understandable. But in the books, spoilers.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this episode, you're okay with House of the Dragon spoilers, period.
Yeah.
But in the book, he goes down and he cuts out Jace's eye and takes it back to Alicent, correct? Is it he takes it back to somebody. So either way, for Vhagar to kill then, and then
That's also allegedly, like, because the book is written in like so many like not viewpoints, but like from different accounts of third party accounts. It's like, yeah, allegedly the story is he just fucking owned it and dropped an eye off on her desk. You're like, okay,
but the flip side of that is, how does anybody know?
that's his eye.
Well, how does anybody know that it's his eye?
Yeah.
How does anybody know that it was Vhagar? That, I mean, obviously we would assume that there's accounts of people saying, yeah, I seen Aemond here, and I seen, it was Luke, wasn't it?
It's little Luke,
It was Luke.
little baby Luke.
Jason and Luke, I always get mixed up for some reason.
That they look the same. They have a very strong resemblance.
That's the other thing.
Strong boys.
I would have been in a fight with Aemond. That, like, he would have murdered me.
Yeah, have you seen him? He would fucking kill you.
I know, but that's the thing. I would have been standing there, and instead of being as mad as Jace did, I would have raised my cup and been like, glad we finally see eye to eye, and then he would have murdered me. That's just how that would have happened. Hands down.
Damon would have stepped in and been like, whoa.
I think
I'm too much of a smartass.
Yeah.
That's what that comes down to.
I think he died needlessly. He could have just lost the eye. If he'd have just been like, okay, fine, take the eye.
That's the other
He
thing.
could have left. He could have left without any problem.
No,
He could have.
That's the other thing.
Probably.
With a fucking conversation, he could have solved that without even losing an eye. Be like, yeah, you got a fucking dragon. You said we were square 52 years
He
ago.
didn't just get a dragon. He got
The dragon.
the dragon.
Yeah, the biggest dragon.
Good Lord,
that
is
time.
it big.
Yeah.
Oh, my
Is
goodness.
Vhagar the biggest?
Alive, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Balerion was slightly bigger.
I knew Balerion was bigger, but I didn't know if it was, what's the other one? The one that Damon sings to.
Vermithor.
Vermithor. I didn't know if Vermithor or Vhagar was
Vermithor's
bigger.
a fair bit smaller. Yeah.
I believe it's the third biggest.
It's
He
the
is,
third biggest, but it's a big jump.
Yeah.
It's a big jump.
But anyway,
The dragons, by the way, whenever we first seen Caraxes, I hated him.
because he's long neck boy.
I just fucking hated the way he looked for some reason, and I guess I thought every dragon was going to look like that for some
They
reason.
distinctly said they're making because in Game of Thrones, you can't really tell
Differences.
between Rhaegal and what's the other one? Viserion.
Yeah.
You couldn't really tell the difference between them. You're like, one's kind of like a greenish color, I guess.
Yeah.
Obviously you could tell the difference between
Typically
Drogon.
it's white and gold
Yeah,
and green and blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drogon's like way bigger than the other two, but
And
you're
black.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, the other two, you're like, I don't fucking know which one died.
By the end, you can tell the difference.
Yeah, because he's the only one left. So they set out not only to make the dragons look different and distinct, have different body shapes, and definitely like brighter colors. George also insisted that the heraldry of all the houses was brighter and more visible, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that he was like.
I loved Rhaenyra's dragon. I thought it was beautiful.
Yeah. Cyrax was.
Beautiful.
We haven't even seen what is described as the beautifulest dragon in action yet.
Which one's that?
Sunfire.
Oh,
Which is
yeah.
Aegon's dragon.
Yeah.
We seen him on a little bit like on a cliff, but he's like gold.
Yeah.
And
But
like
just so much of this show could have been solved with conversations.
yeah, that's life, man.
That's absolutely true.
That's life.
Yeah.
Because
People know word good.
I know, but had it not been a thing of we need to hold this secret dream
Yeah.
just between the kings, if Alicent would have known that beforehand, like, hey, I'm not talking about fucking this Aegon.
Yeah.
I'm talking about one from the past. Because she was fully
Yeah.
ready to give the throne to Rhaenyra.
Yeah.
At that point, they had solved things. And then here's Patty dying, and Aegon.
Aegon's dream.
The last word he said was also fucking Damon just getting absolutely pissed. He was like, that bitch murdered him.
If
The man was 106.
There's another
Not
problem.
really that much.
I know,
older.
he's not
like,
that-
He's like a few years older than Damon.
If Rhaenyra had actually explained more to Christian Cole, I think that would have helped a lot because she just basically says no.
Yeah.
Nah.
No,
No.
thanks,
No,
bro.
no thanks.
I'm not leaving.
And he's like,
What?
what?
But we had the sex.
We're supposed to get married now.
Yeah, we get married now. No.
It's
Like,
just funny
you
to
could
me
just
because,
talk
like,
about it.
Damon's seen Viserys on his deathbed, essentially.
Yeah.
Even though he come out and had the dinner and everything like that. And then he still is like, she fucking murdered him. Like, just jumps that train.
It's like, no, he just died.
And I think that's more, it says more about Damon's character than it does anything.
Yeah.
Because he's just that fucking angry
He's
all the
he's
time.
like a war hawk. He's been waiting for this for like years.
Yeah.
Like, fucking, we're gonna kill him.
Oh, this show had,
You see how quickly he like took over and was like,
Oh,
boom,
absolutely.
boom, boom, boom. We're doing all this shit, like setting it up.
While Rhaenyra's birthing a dragon baby.
the show had like the most heartbreaking moment into it for any Game of Thrones thing for all 8 seasons, and this was the dinner. And they're all putting on the show of getting along.
Yeah.
And you don't really catch on to that till about a quarter way through.
Yeah.
And then you start seeing them just kind of devolve back into their original petty arguments.
I mean,
And
the
he's
only
not,
two
and
that
they're
you could,
hiding it from him until Aemon gets into a
Pissing contest?
pissing contest. Yeah.
yeah. The only two that I think were genuine in that moment was Alicent and Rhaenyra.
Yeah. Everyone else was just
Well, it's a,
acting
And the
That's-
second that,
for the benefit of Viserys.
yes,
For his benefit, because they all know that he is for them individually the same as he is for any other one in that room.
yeah.
it's just that's what happens. Like those are the two that were actually friends at once upon a time. Everyone else in that room hates,
Hates each other. Hates.
They never really got to know.
Even
Yeah,
Daemon, to a degree, hates Rhaenyra.
yeah, he's jealous of her.
Took the throne from him.
He's jealous.
essentially.
He's jealous of Viserys.
Yeah. I'm fucking jealous of everybody.
But his like big thing, he's fucking beady eyed Otto motherfucker over there. He's like, I fucking hate you, you son of a bitch. Everyone has their foil.
Oh yeah.
On
And then
each side.
Aemon's like, I fucking love you, you son of a bitch.
Oh God.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that.
Probably,
Mistakes were made.
probably not.
But
And then the last question, and then we'll wrap up this episode. Team green or team black?
I mean, it's pretty obvious we're all Team Black.
Absolutely.
I would say I'm more Team Black.
Okay.
We'll see how it goes.
I
know it's probably going to be Team Black because I know some of what happens. So.
I'm Team Black with the exception of Eamon. He's the only one that
He's
I don't know. He's like the one that's pushing me out of Team
Is
Green.
he?
Yeah.
I mean, he's real cunty, but I think I like that about
He's
him.
just a slimy shithead.
He just reminds you of Damon as well.
But I would,
He's in here
that-
cosplaying as Damon with an
He's
eye
just
patch.
a
is
Like,
hatchet-faced version of Damon.
yeah. I don't like Aegon, which again, that's probably because we haven't seen that much from him. But the fact that he was out there just birthing 72 bastards that
hey, that's fair.
he was letting fight.
I noticed we haven't talked anything about the sister.
Helene is just
She's just fucking there.
She's just weird girl.
Chomp.
Have you guys, now to bring up another point, have you guys seen the theory that people think Aemond is the father?
Oh yeah, that's been a thing since the book. They're
Really?
They're like, well, you know, that happens all the time throughout the Targaryen dynasty.
Yeah, because
Is whenever there's two brothers and a sister, they're all one of them. The older one will get married to the sister, and everybody's like, I bet it's actually the younger brother that's fucking the kids. Yeah, or making the kids.
fucking the kids.
Yeah.
Please don't fuck the kids.
Oh, God.
I mean, that's
Oh,
a
God.
Targaryen
Yeah.
thing, too, because they
But
tried to marry
The
Viserys
younger
to
brother is
Lyanna.
actually the dad 9 times, especially if the older brother's kind of a cunt and unlikable, and the younger brother usually is like more charismatic and like.
Yeah.
It happens. It happens. It's happened like 4 times in 200 years.
It's bad.
It's weird.
Either way, let's wrap up this episode. I guess, is there anything else we want to mention about House of the Dragon? Really, really fast. Or are we done?
Make sure you watch it so that the next season, some shit's going to go down.
Oh
Yeah, there's gonna be
it's gonna
some-
go down early.
Yeah.
Early.
Will it be early?
Early.
Okay.
First
Early.
episode, I would bet my money on. Maybe second.
And
Probably
you know
second.
it's Game of Thrones, so don't get attached to characters.
Yep.
Poor Damon. Spoiler alert.
We got time.
Yeah. So if you want to find us and find our Facebook page, our Discord, all that good stuff, there is a link to the Discord in the description. And if you want to find the Facebook page, you can find it at anchor.fm/chaotically nerdy. Thank you all for listening, and we will see you on the next one.
Bye.
Deuce.